My name is Julian Love, lead technical artist on Diablo 3, and I'm going to talk to you about skill runes today. So we haven't talked about skill runes for quite a while. In fact, we kind of gave them the year off last year to let them percolate a little bit, but they're back, and they're in the game, and you can play them here at the show. They're fully implemented in the Witch Doctor, the Wizard, and the Barbarian. And I would urge you to just head on over at some point today and play the game and give skill runes a try. So, here. Just a quick update, getting up to speed with where we are with runes. If you remember, runes are a system for modifying your skills. They drop in the world like gems do, but instead of putting them in your items to modify what your items do, you put these in your skills and modify what your skills do. So really, skill runes are a huge customization feature for your characters. And usually when we think about character customization, people think about things like skin color or hairstyle or maybe gear. But really, the skills that you pick for your character is a huge part of character customization. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. We have an Amazon here in the front row. Can I get you to stand up? All right. So let's give it up for the Amazon. It's a great costume. But you're not just any Amazon. You're a Spirazon, right? Or are you a Throwazon? That looks like a Spirazon to me. Okay, great. So that's an example of what I'm talking about. She's not just an Amazon. We didn't just make sorceresses and barbarians. We made Spirazons. We made frenzy barbs. We made nova sorceresses, things like that. So we're really going to blow the lid off of this idea with skill runes by providing a whole lot more builds. Now, how many more builds are we going to provide? Well, I kind of get curious about this. So I enlisted the help of some programmers to help me out because I blow things up for a living. And they came back with this outrageous number. It's huge. I'm going to help you out with it. It's 96,886,000,000, blah, 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 roughly 97 billion builds per class. Okay, so that's a really big number. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around it. So let me kind of clarify exactly what we're talking about. Okay, so this is the number of skill combinations with runes that you can have per class. This does not include things like traits, gear, dyes, charms, anything like that. This is purely active skills. Okay? So you're really going to be able to come up with just a ton of different kinds of class combinations. But it's not just about numbers. Skill runes are going to provide a whole lot more. And one of the key things to keep in mind here is that skill runes don't just change what a skill does. They have the potential to change the way it looks. Now, originally, we really weren't thinking about having different graphics for every single skill rune choice because it's a ton of work. And so we were looking at that and thinking, well, we'll just do the ones that seem interesting. But what we found along the way was if we didn't have a graphical change, the skill rune just felt kind of weak or even broken. And we found that everybody at the office would just gravitate towards using all of the skill runes that have graphics changes. So what we found is that this really kind of comes down to a fundamental question, which is, we could just change all of the numbers underneath, and give you like a numerical change. And we could do that, or we could just have the screen filled with like zombie bears, right? And which would you rather have, right? Zombie bears. Okay, of course. All right. So, where are we at with skill runes? We still have 5 types of skill runes, only we've changed their names. They're now called Crimson, Indigo, Obsidian, Golden, and Alabaster. So why did we change this? Well, we had another system before where we named the runes according to the concept that was attached to them. So they were called things like multi-strike or energy. And multi-strike runes did multi-strike things, and energy runes did stuff with your resources. But we decided to change that because what we found as we were going along was that we kept coming up with ideas that just didn't fit with those concepts very well. So at first, we had some concept that would fit really well. Like we'd get some things that do like a multi-shot and they would fit. But then as we started coming up with really, really wacky ideas, it just became harder and harder to shoehorn them into that system. So I want to give you an example of what I'm talking about. On screen right now is the Witch Doctor's new skill called Poison Dart. And let's see, what do we got? Obsidian Rune. So that will slow monsters. And that kind of fit with the Power Rune before. So it wasn't too big a deal. But then we changed the skill so that we had another version that would make it a rapid fire skill. And that worked really good with multi-strike. But then we had this other wacky idea. We wanted the Witch Doctor to be able to shoot a live snake that would attach itself to monsters' faces and stun them. Where does that fit? It doesn't fit anywhere, right? So the answer was, okay, let's just change the names of the runes. Then we can come up with as many wacky ideas like that as we want, and we just put them wherever we want, and it works. So next, runes now have ranks. There are 7 ranks. They increase as you progress through the game. Now, what do ranks do for runes? Here's what they do. They take whatever the rune does to a particular skill, and they just take that attribute and they make it extreme. Okay? So the easiest way to really get an understanding of how this works is to look at a skill and just see how the rune ranks change that skill. So we're going to look at Wizard's Magic Missile. You've seen this before probably. Here it is, unruned. It shoots 1 missile per cast. But then we're going to put an Indigo Rune in it, rank 1. And now it shoots 2 missiles per cast. Now here's rank 7. You're going to need that in hell. So that brings us up to speed with what we've done with runes. And so I thought it would be a really good idea to just give you some examples of what kinds of things runes can do to skills by looking at some of the ones that we've designed. So here we have a skill for the Barbarian called Weapon Throw. It allows him just to throw a big weapon. This is the Crimson Rune. It just adds more damage, makes it kind of a one-shot skill. And then we have another one that allows you to throw a hammer that stuns characters, which is great for PvP. Then we have another one that, will cause confusion, which is a good crowd control version. Then we have one that ricochets for AoE. And then finally, we thought it'd be really cool to have an ability for the Barbarian to throw a corpse. Because corpses are cool. So next up we have the Wizard. And we brought back Hydra for the Wizard. And here it is. It works just like the skill from D2. And then the Crimson Rune changes them to Frost Hydras with a short-range breath attack. Then we also brought in a Lightning Hydra. Lightning Hydras never miss. Next up, we have an Arcane Hydra that shoots miniature arcane orbs for AoE damage. Then we decided to do an Acid Hydra because melting monsters is just a lot of fun. And then finally, we wanted to change things up again, get one of these really wacky ideas. One big Hydra head, but it has the Firewall attribute. Yeah. Okay. So next up, let's look at Plague of Toads on the Witch Doctor. This is the Crimson Rune. It makes all of your frogs on fire. This fire is good. And then something a little bit more gameplay oriented. You've got mana reduction, so you can have a lot more frogs. And then we have Alabaster Rune will blind monsters, which gives you some crowd control ability. And then we change the skill completely and make sort of a Toad blizzard. Then finally, we wanted to have a giant toad. But what's he going to do? He's going to eat monsters. And he digests them, but he doesn't digest the loot, because that would not be so much fun.